The lucky purchase. The sundown station hung in the void like a tarnished coin forgotten in some cosmic pocket. Its rotating rings creaked with age, and the neon signs flickering across its hull promised more than the station could deliver. Inside, in the cramped workshop 17, Mira Chen wiped sweat from her brow, leaving a streak of engine grease across her forehead. "That'll be 200 credits," she said to the Valyrian merchant standing impatiently before her, parts included. The merchant, 6 limbs, bioluminescent skin, and permanent skepticism etched into his features, scoffed. "Highway robbery. Then take your atmospheric regulator to Workshop 9. They'll charge you 300 and it'll break again in a week." The merchant grudgingly transferred the credits. As he left, Mira's diagnostic tablet chimed with a notification. "Warranty past due. A final warning." "Perfect," she muttered, sliding down against the wall of her workshop. 3 years of scraping by on Sundown Station, fixing everything from luxury yacht engines to contraband weapon systems, and she was still one missed payment away from being spaced. The promised promotion to the station's maintenance crew had evaporated when the foreman hired his nephew instead. The tablet chimed again. "Salvage Avucitation. Dock 42. Today only." Mira nearly dismissed it before pausing. Salvage auctions occasionally yielded valuable parts she could flip for profit. With the 200 credits burning a hole in her account and desperation clawing at her back, she grabbed her toolkit and headed for Dock 42. The auction was being held in one of Sundown's abandoned loading bays, a motley collection of scavengers, mechanics, and suspicious-looking traders milled around piles of twisted metal and discarded tech. At the far end stood something unexpected, a small vessel, maybe 30 meters long, with an unusual teardrop shape. Its hull was covered in a dull black material that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "What's that?" Mira asked a nearby Centaurian with mechanical augmentations protruding from his skull. "Some ancient wreck they found drifting near the Kessler Belt," he replied with a dismissive wave of his mechanical arm. "Worthless. Can't even open the damn thing." The auctioneer, a human with an obviously fake mustache and the nervous demeanor of someone perpetually dodging creditors, stepped onto a hovering platform. "Ladies, gentlemen, and various configurations in between, welcome to the extraordinary opportunity that is today's salvage auction." Most of the items were predictable: damaged nav systems, outdated weapons, engine parts of questionable origin. Mira bid on nothing, waiting to see if anything worthwhile would appear. Finally, the auctioneer gestured toward the teardrop ship. And now, the mysterious vessel recovered from the depths of space. Who knows what treasures might lie within its unopenable hull? Starting bid at 5,000 credits. Silence fell across the loading bay. 4,000. The auctioneer's voice cracked slightly. 3,000. More silence. 1,000 credits. Surely this unique artifact of unknown origin is worth something to someone. A draconid in the back coughed, possibly from amusement. The auctioneer's confidence deflated visibly. 500. 100. He looked around desperately. 10 credits. Mira found her hand raising almost of its own accord. 10 credits. Do I hear 15? No one moved. 10 credits going once. Twice. Sold to the human with the toolkit. Moments later, Mira stood before her purchase, wondering if she'd just wasted her last 10 credits. The ship loomed above her, strange and silent. No visible entry points, no obvious technology, just smooth, light-absorbing material. "Enjoy your paperweight," the Centaurian called as he passed by. Mira approached the hull, running her hand over its surface. It felt oddly warm, almost alive. Her fingers traced what might have been seams, though they were nearly imperceptible. "How do you open?" she whispered. To her shock, a line of light appeared beneath her fingertips, spreading in a rectangular pattern. A section of the hull simply disappeared, revealing an entrance. "What the—" Mira stepped back, glancing around to see if anyone had noticed. But the auction had moved on, attention focused elsewhere. Heart racing, she stepped inside the ship. The interior was surprisingly spacious, with smooth contours and surfaces that reminded her of polished obsidian. As she moved deeper into the vessel, soft lights activated along the floors and ceiling, illuminating her path. She found herself in what appeared to be a control room. No buttons, no levers, just smooth panels that glowed faintly as she approached. When she tentatively placed her hand on the central console, the entire ship hummed to life. A holographic display erupted before her, filling the chamber with shimmering light. Symbols and diagrams she couldn't comprehend swirled in the air. Genetic signature recognized, said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Non-Calrithian entity detected, initiating secondary protocols. The holographic display shifted, reorganizing itself into recognizable patterns, star charts, navigation systems, and what appeared to be weapons systems of terrifying complexity. Hello. Mira ventured. Greetings, unauthorized user, the voice replied, somehow managing to sound both courteous and threatening. I am Sentinel, integrated intelligence of the Calrithian vessel Astral Whisper. I bought this ship at an auction for 10 credits. A pause. 10 credits. It was all I had, Mira admitted. Another pause, longer this time. Processing. The Astral Whisper is valued at approximately 2.7 trillion galactic standard credits, excluding historical significance. Sale price of 10 credits represents a 99.999999963% discount. Mira sat down hard on what she hoped was a chair. It adjusted to her form perfectly. 2.7 trillion. The value is likely higher now, given the extinction of the Calrithian Empire 5,349 standard years ago. This vessel represents the last known example of Calrithian phase shift technology. Mira's mind raced. She'd stumbled into something enormous. What exactly can this ship do? The holographic display shifted again, demonstrating capabilities that made her breath catch. Faster than light travel without conventional drives. Molecular reconstruction systems, defensive shields that could withstand a supernova, weapons that could disintegrate moons. Why are you telling me all this? I'm not Calrithian, whatever that is. The Calrithians established secondary protocols for the eventuality of their extinction. Any sentient being who activates the Astral Whisper becomes its custodian until formally challenged. Challenged by combat, legal proceedings, or ritual dance, depending on the challenger's cultural norms. Mira laughed nervously. You're joking about the dance, right? Sentinel didn't answer, which was concerning. Before she could press further, alarms blared throughout the ship. The holographic display showed multiple vessels approaching Sundown Station at high speed. Central Galactic Authority vessels detected, Sentinel announced. Probability assessment indicates they are responding to unauthorized activation of Calrithian technology. How would they know? The Astral Whisper's energy signature is distinctive and has been listed in all major galactic databases as a Class 1 restricted technology. Great, Mira muttered. I finally catch a break, and it's illegal. Technically, ownership is not illegal. Activation without proper clearance carries a sentence of 150 standard years in a maximum security detention facility. The display showed the CGA vessels docking with Sundown Station. Armed troops were already pouring into the main concourse. I need to hide this ship, Mira said, panic rising. The Astral Whisper cannot be hidden while active, Sentinel replied. However, it can leave. Leave? You mean fly? That is the primary function of a spacecraft. Mira looked at the approaching soldiers on the display, then at the incredible technology surrounding her. She thought about her workshop, her debts, the foreman's nephew, and the future that had always seemed just out of reach. Can you teach me to fly this thing? Neural interface is recommended for optimal operation. Whatever that means, do it fast. A tendril of light extended from the console, touching Mira's forehead. Knowledge flooded her consciousness. Control systems, navigation principles, basic weapons operation. It was overwhelming yet somehow intuitive, as though the ship was meeting her halfway. Neural interface established. Basic operational parameters transferred. Full capabilities restricted pending custodian evaluation. Mira placed her hands on the console with newfound confidence. The ship responded immediately, lifting silently from the dock. Station control is attempting communication, Sentinel noted. Ignore them. CGA vessels are preparing to intercept. Can they catch us? Their technology is approximately 4,000 years behind Calrithian standards. Mira smiled for what felt like the first time in years. Then let's show them what 2.7 trillion credits worth of spaceship can do. The Astral Whisper shot forward, leaving Sundown Station behind in a blur of light. The pursuing CGA vessels fired warning shots that dissipated harmlessly against the ship's shields. Recommend phase shift to avoid unnecessary confrontation, Sentinel suggested. Approved. Take us somewhere safe. The universe seemed to fold around them. Stars stretched into lines, then fractals, then patterns Mira had no words for. When reality reasserted itself, Sundown Station and the CGA vessels were gone, replaced by an unfamiliar star system with a rust-colored gas giant dominating the view. Where are we? The Epsilon Ursa system. Uninhabited. Approximately 700 light-years from previous location. Mira leaned back in her chair, trying to process everything that had happened. Sentinel, I think you and I are going to have a very interesting relationship. Assessment confirmed, the eye replied. Custodian evaluation updated. Preliminary access granted to 37% of Astral Whisper capabilities. Only 37%. Trust is earned incrementally. Fair enough, Mira thought. She had gone from near destitution to possessing the most advanced ship in known space in less than an hour. The universe had suddenly become much larger and much more dangerous. Sentinel, what would the Calrithians have done with this ship? The Astral Whisper served multiple functions: exploration, diplomacy, defense, and when necessary, conquest. And now it's mine. Mira gazed at the holographic display, watching the unfamiliar stars turn slowly before her. For 10 credits. Correction. The Astral Whisper is worth 2.7 trillion credits. You are currently worth 2.7 trillion credits. Mira laughed. I like how you think. As the ship drifted silently through the alien system, Mira began to plan. With this technology, she could do anything. Explore uncharted space, establish trade monopolies, even create her own empire if she wanted. But first, she needed to understand what she had stumbled into, and why a ship of such value had been abandoned in the first place. Sentinel, tell me everything about the Calrithians. And I mean everything. The holographic display shifted once more, and Mira settled in to learn about the civilization that had created her incredible new ship, and the power that had brought about their extinction. Rise to power. 3 standard months after her escape from Sundown Station, Mira sat in the command chamber of the Astral Whisper, watching a holographic representation of her rapidly expanding empire. What had begun as desperate flight had transformed into calculated ascension. Mineral extraction in the Vega Proxima asteroid belt has exceeded projections by 23%, Sentinel reported. The modified replicator drones are performing at optimal efficiency. Mira nodded, brushing back hair that now contained streaks of silver, a side effect of the neural interface and the vast knowledge it continually fed into her mind, and the processing facility on Helios 7. Construction is ahead of schedule. The use of phase-shifted materials for the primary structures has reduced building time by 78%. It had been almost too easy. The Astral Whisper's molecular reconstruction technology could transform raw asteroid materials into refined metals and advanced composites. With this capability, Mira had established mining operations in remote, resource-rich systems that conventional companies couldn't efficiently reach. She sold her products at prices just low enough to undercut competitors, but high enough to accumulate substantial wealth. Each credit was reinvested: more automated mining equipment, processing facilities, transport ships crewed by carefully selected individuals who valued discretion. All of it carefully structured through shell companies and proxies. To the galaxy at large, a mysterious new corporate entity called Whisper Technologies had emerged, not the fugitive mechanic from Sundown Station. Update on the Central Galactic Authority, Mira requested. The holographic display shifted to show CGA patrol routes and communication transcripts. They continue to search for the Astral Whisper, but have found no trace. Your decision to operate in uninhabited or fringe systems has proven effective. Mira's smile contained a hint of pride. And the bounty now stands at 5 million credits, considerable, though several orders of magnitude below your current net worth. That was another change. Mira had begun to think in terms of calculated risks and strategic investments rather than day-to-day survival. The neural interface with Sentinel had altered more than just her knowledge base. It had changed how she processed information, how she perceived time and opportunity. Incoming transmission, Sentinel announced. Origin, Helios 7 facility. Display. The hologram shifted to show Cater, the Arcturian operations manager Mira had hired to oversee the Helios 7 project. His crystalline features were arranged in what she had learned was an expression of concern. Administrator Chen, he began formally, we've received an unexpected visitor. A Central Galactic Authority inspector claims to be conducting a routine survey of industrial operations in this sector. Mira frowned. That sector isn't under CGA jurisdiction. They're citing a new exploratory mandate. I've stalled them with documentation requirements, but they're persistent. Is the phase shift technology concealed? Yes, Administrator. All restricted systems are running in conventional mode as per protocol. Mira considered her options. Keep them contained to the public areas. I'll arrive within the hour to handle this personally. After ending the transmission, Mira leaned back in her command chair. They're getting bolder, Sentinel, or more desperate. Analysis suggests this is not a random inspection. The CGA has likely detected anomalies in production output versus resource input. Even operating at conventional efficiency levels, we're too productive. Mira concluded. Our technology advantage is becoming too obvious. Correct. Recommendation. Establish legitimate political protection to supplement our technological advantage. Mira raised an eyebrow. You want me to buy politicians now? The Calrithians found that combining technological superiority with political alliance created more stable power structures than technology alone. It wasn't the first time Sentinel had suggested expanding beyond pure business operations. The AI had been gradually introducing concepts of governance and political influence, almost as if following some preset program for the development of a new empire. Sometimes Mira wondered if she was being guided along a path the Calrithians had designed millennia ago. Other times, she wondered if she cared. The path had led to wealth and freedom beyond anything she'd imagined possible. Set course for Helios 7, she ordered. Maximum conventional speed until we're out of detector range, then phase shift. As the Astral Whisper accelerated away from their hidden base, Mira reviewed the dossier Sentinel had compiled on the CGA inspector. Nothing unusual. Mid-level bureaucrat, 15 years of service, specialization in industrial regulation. If this was a trap, it wasn't an obvious one. The ship emerged from phase shift near Helios 7, a terraformed moon orbiting a gas giant. From space, the processing facility looked like any other industrial complex. Landing pads, processing plants, storage facilities. Only Mira and a few trusted lieutenants knew about the phase-shifted sections hidden between conventional space, where the real technological marvels operated. Mira docked at her private hangar and made her way to the administrative center. She had chosen to meet with the inspector not as the mysterious owner of Whisper Technologies, but as Mira Chen, Regional Operations Director, an important but not crucial position. The inspector, a human woman named Adia Norton, rose as Mira entered the conference room. Director Chen, thank you for accommodating this unscheduled inspection. Mira offered her most practiced corporate smile. The Central Galactic Authority's work is important. We're happy to comply. Norton's eyes narrowed slightly. That's refreshingly cooperative. Most operations in fringe territories are less enthusiastic. Whisper Technologies believes in transparency. Mira lied smoothly. Then you won't mind explaining how your facility processes 15 tons of raw material per hour with only the equipment I've observed. There it was, the real reason for the visit. Mira maintained her smile. Proprietary efficiency algorithms. Our founder is somewhat of an engineering genius. I'd love to meet this founder. Very private person. Rarely leaves the corporate headquarters on Novaterra. Norton consulted her tablet. Interesting, since Whisper Technologies' registration lists no corporate headquarters, and Novaterra has no record of any such facility. Mira felt a familiar tension building. The moment when negotiations could turn to confrontation. She had faced it dozens of times since acquiring the Astral Whisper, though usually in business settings, not quasi-legal investigations. Inspector Norton, Mira said, leaning forward slightly. Let's speak plainly. What is it you actually want? Norton's professional demeanor slipped, revealing something harder beneath. The CGA isn't just a regulatory body, Director. We're responsible for maintaining technological balance across settled space. When someone develops a significant advantage, particularly one they're hiding, it becomes our concern. And if this hypothetical advantage exists, then we would need to confiscate it for proper study and equitable distribution. Mira laughed. You mean nationalize it? For the greater good. The greater good rarely seems to include the people who make the breakthroughs, Mira countered. But I understand your position. You have superiors, they have concerns. You're doing your job. Norton seemed surprised by Mira's understanding. Exactly. So let me offer an alternative to confiscation. Mira pressed a concealed button under the table. Whisper Technologies is prepared to establish a formal relationship with the CGA. Research partnership, shared technological development, with appropriate compensation, of course. The authority doesn't make such arrangements with private entities. It does now, came a new voice. High Commissioner Talon of the CGA entered the room, flanked by Cater. The Arcturian's crystalline features betrayed no emotion, but Talon looked distinctly uncomfortable. High Commissioner. Norton stood abruptly. I wasn't informed you were in this sector. A recent development, Talon said stiffly. He glanced at Mira. Administrator Chen has made a compelling case for cooperation rather than confiscation. Norton's confusion was evident. Sir, protocol clearly dictates. Protocol has been updated. Talon handed her a tablet. Effective immediately, Whisper Technologies is classified as a strategic development partner of the Central Galactic Authority. As Norton reviewed the document, Mira allowed herself a small smile. The meeting with Talon had occurred 3 weeks earlier, a calculated risk based on Sentinel's analysis of CGA command structures and vulnerabilities. The High Commissioner's private financial troubles and political ambitions had made him an ideal target for Mira's first major political alliance. Norton looked up from the tablet, her expression now guarded. I understand, Commissioner. I'll update my report accordingly. After the CGA representatives departed, Cater approached Mira. Impressive maneuvering, Administrator. Though dangerous. The most direct path isn't always the safest, Mira replied, quoting a Calrithian proverb she'd learned from Sentinel. Back aboard the Astral Whisper, Mira reviewed the day's events with Sentinel. The CGA alliance is secure for now, but Norton wasn't convinced. Inspector Norton has been flagged for surveillance. Her personal communications indicate she is considering bringing her concerns to the Galactic Senate Oversight Committee. Mira sighed. Political complications already. This is why I preferred staying hidden. The Astral Whisper's capabilities could not remain concealed indefinitely. The transition to open influence was inevitable. Maybe. Mira stood, walking to the viewing portal. The gas giant hung majestically above Helios 7, its swirling clouds a canvas of amber and gold. What's the next step in your Calrithian empire-building program? Sentinel paused before answering. The Calrithians believed that true stability required three pillars: technological superiority, political alliance, and cultural integration. Cultural integration. You mean I need to become a celebrity now? Not precisely. The Calrithians created a philosophy and way of life that unified diverse species under common principles. It gave purpose beyond mere economic or political association. Mira laughed. You want me to start a religion? A paradigm, Sentinel corrected. Humans call it a vision. A reason why others should follow beyond fear or profit. The suggestion gave Mira pause. Since finding the astral whisper, she had focused on building wealth and security. But to what end? What was she creating besides a more advanced, more profitable version of the systems she had once resented? Did the Calrithians have a good vision? Is that why you're guiding me this way? The question hung in the air for a moment too long before Sentinel answered. The Calrithians believed their vision was just. History suggests otherwise. What happened to them? Sentinel. Really? Another pause. They were destroyed in a war of their own making. Their vision of order became rigid. Those who disagreed were deemed obstacles to galactic harmony. Mira felt a chill despite the perfectly regulated temperature. They became tyrants. They became certain they were right. The holographic display activated, showing the known galaxy with thousands of inhabited systems highlighted. Whisper Technologies now had presence in nearly 100 of them, with influence extending to hundreds more through trade relationships and the new CGA alliance. You have already exceeded the early Calrithian expansion rate by 17%, Sentinel noted. With current trajectory, you will achieve their peak influence within 15 standard years, rather than the 3 centuries it took them. Because of their technology, which you gave me. Correct. The question remains, will you recreate their empire, or forge something new? Mira stared at the galactic display, the countless stars and worlds now within her reach. The mechanic from Sundown Station, who had scraped for credits, would never have imagined standing here, contemplating galactic governance. I need advisors, she decided. Not just managers and politicians. Philosophers, artists, scientists. People who see the galaxy differently than I do. A council. A network. Find me the brightest minds who aren't corrupted by the current power structures. People who dream of something better. This diverges from Calrithian protocol, Sentinel observed. Good. Mira's voice hardened. I'm not interested in becoming the next extinct civilization. Over the next year, Mira's network took shape. A xenobiologist who had been denied funding for her revolutionary ecosystems research. A poet whose work on cross-species communication had been deemed commercially irrelevant. A theoretical physicist who questioned foundational assumptions about reality itself. Whisper Technologies continued to expand, but with new purpose. Research centers replaced some processing facilities. Educational initiatives appeared on worlds where opportunities had been limited. Each venture built on the incredible capabilities of Calrithian technology, but guided by a diverse collective of perspectives rather than a single vision. Not everyone approved. The CGA relationship became strained as Mira's influence grew beyond what High Commissioner Talon had anticipated. Competing corporations formed alliances against the mysterious Whisper Technologies. Rumors spread about the source of Mira's technological advantage. On the 5th anniversary of her discovery of the Astral Whisper, Mira stood before her assembled network, now hundreds strong, gathered in a phase-shifted space station that existed partially outside conventional reality. 5 years ago, I was a mechanic with more debts than credits, she began. Today, we stand at a crossroads. Our technology can reshape the galaxy. Our influence can rewrite its rules. She gestured to the vast viewing window. where stars shimmered with unusual clarity through the phase-shifted glass. The civilization that built this ship believed in order above all else. Their certainty destroyed them. I propose a different path. Not an empire of control, but a commonwealth of possibility. Murmurs spread through the assembly. Excited, uncertain, hopeful. The galaxy doesn't need another emperor, Mira continued. It needs catalysts for change. Each of you represents a possibility the old systems rejected. Together, we'll create space for more possibilities, more futures than any single vision could encompass. The poet, now Mira's closest advisor, stepped forward. You speak of revolution. I speak of evolution, Mira corrected. Revolution replaces one system with another. Evolution creates something new. As discussions erupted throughout the chamber, Sentinel's voice spoke privately through Mira's neural interface. The Calrithians would not have approved of this direction. Mira smiled slightly. Is that concern or approval I hear? Observation. You have accessed 83% of the Astral Whisper's capabilities. The remaining 17% includes protocols I am programmed to restrict until certain conditions are met. What conditions? Proof that you will not repeat Calrithian mistakes. Mira looked out at her network. Brilliant minds from dozens of species, all engaged in passionate debate about the future they might build together. I think we're on the right track, she said softly. Later, alone in her quarters aboard the Astral Whisper, Mira reviewed messages from across her growing commonwealth. Challenges and opportunities, threats and alliances. The complexity was staggering. Sometimes she missed the simplicity of fixing engines in Workshop 17. Sentinel, she called. Do you ever wonder if the Calrithians planted their ship deliberately? If they wanted someone to find it, learn from their mistakes? The possibility exists. Calrithian records are incomplete regarding the Astral Whisper's final mission. Mira nodded, watching the stars through her viewport. 10 credits for the most valuable ship in the galaxy. Nobody's that lucky. Perhaps not, Sentinel conceded. Does it matter? Mira considered the question. Whether by cosmic chance or ancient design, she had been given power that could reshape civilization. What mattered now was what she chose to do with it. No, she decided. What matters is what we build next. Outside, the stars continued their eternal dance, indifferent to empires and commonwealths alike. But for perhaps the first time since the Calrithians had launched their magnificent ship, its technology served not to conquer the galaxy, but to expand its possibilities. Somewhere in the void, Mira imagined, the ghosts of a fallen civilization might be watching, hoping that their greatest creation would finally fulfill its true purpose in the hands of a mechanic who had once spent her last 10 credits on a ship that looked like nothing more than a useless piece of scrap.